So today we will discuss peptides. They are involved in brain, neurological peptides. So we'll see what are neuropeptides, classify them, give their different names, their different types of the neuropeptides, and then their functions of the neuropeptides. So by definition, they are the nerve proteins. Actually, if you see the biochemical point of view, if you remember the last year, the lectures before the last year, we said peptides are amino acids, protein and peptide. Classically, they said that less than 50 amino acids. If the less than 50 amino acids are there, that will be called peptide. If more than 50 amino acids, that will be called protein. Later on, it is modified, and they said no. If it is less than 100 amino acids, we'll say peptide. If it is more than 100 amino acids, it is protein. But technically, the group of the researchers is very much convinced with the first part that those they have less than 50 amino acids, they are called peptide, and more than 50 amino acids, they are called protein. So these are the biochemical products, nerve proteins, that regulates the almost all processes of the cellular function, and thereby they are linked to the body systems. And we know that the regulatory system of the body is comprised of three components: hormonal system, brain and nerve, endocrine systems, neuronal systems, and enzymes. Hormonal system, neuronal system, and enzymes. Three systems are there. They control the whole metabolic processes, the whole functions of the body. So these are one of them, the controlling system. They are linked to the cells, mostly all of the cells of the body. They are produced primarily in the brain, although every tissue in the body produce and exchange neuropeptides. Majorly in the brain, but all of the body they have. We'll see some of these examples. They circulate throughout the body. In the blood, extracellular fluid spaces, cerebrospinal fluid, everywhere they circulate. And they are called messenger molecules. Why they are called messenger molecules? Because we know that they transmit messages. Pain sensation, emotions, feelings, happiness, sadness. These things are carried out by these messengers. So these they send chemical messages from brain to receptor side. So and we know that message come in the form of chemicals, and then it brings changes in that. So when it brought changes, it brings changes, then outcome is there. For example, close it. Huh? Close it. See, try to understand the things. The messages are, for example, that is sodium which come into the cell. Then it causes a depolarization. When it causes depolarization, then you can see the muscle contraction, isn't it? So the chemical comes. These chemicals bring changes, and then once it brings changes, then you can see the outcome. Similarly, if we switch on, the electron moves, and you can't see the movement of the electron, but you can see the light. The electron moves, you can't see the movement of the electron, but you can see, you can feel the air. So similarly here in the body, the messages are conveyed through the messengers, the chemicals. So the chemical messages from the brain to the receptor side, and then to the cell membrane and throughout the body. The average cell have thousands of the receptor site for the neuropeptides. A single cell. Every cell have thousands of the receptors because continuous sections are there. And they are constantly opening and closing, and brain cell have millions of these receptors. Brain cell have thousands, and cell have millions of these receptors. Now, for example, now I am taking you back to your previous knowledge. This is one amino acid, and this is another amino acid. And these amino acids, they join together by a peptide bond. But what we call it, which type of the peptide is this? It is a monopeptide, it is a dipeptide, it is a tripeptide. Monopeptide, yes. Monopeptide. Yes, any other idea? is your idea? Yes, last one. What is your idea? This is one amino acid. This is another amino acid. Joins together, it make a peptide. Which type of the peptide it is? Is it a monopeptide or is it a dipeptide or a tripeptide? So technically it is a dipeptide. Two amino acids are there. Remember, we said that peptide not denotes to peptide bond. It denotes to the amino acid. It denotes to the amino acid. For example, I say that insulin it has 51 amino acids. So it will be 51 amino peptide. A peptide containing 51 amino acids. A peptide containing. So these are the number of the amino acids. These are the number of, not the peptide bond, not the peptide bond. Clear? Okay, what is the difference between peptide, synthesis of the peptide and neurotransmitter, and then we'll see the difference. Peptide, they are synthesized in soma, this is the cell body, and then they are transported to the axon terminals, and then in the vesicles, these are the small vesicles, they are transported in the vesicles, they reach to the terminal body, and then from here they are burst out, and then they release the neuropeptide into the synaptic cleft. Tamam? There are some enzymes which break this, and then they release this content into the synaptic cleft. So this is the receptor, this is the synapse, and this is the postsynaptic axon terminal, and this is the axon. So peptide synthesized in the soma, transported to the axon terminal in the vesicles, and then release peptide enzymatically degraded, and then these are removed here. There are three mechanisms. Now I will come to this point later on. The peptidases are enzymes and then cleave these peptides. So when they are broken down, peptidases are there which cleave the peptides. There are some genes which go, because they are made up of amino acids, so definitely the genes are there. Protein synthesis, genes are there. Peptide, genes are there. So genes, this is the only component which is synthesized by that. So peptide transmits give rise to neuropeptide and which incorporate into the secretory granules. And then sometimes there are pro-neuropeptide which is cleaved by the peptidases. When it is cleaved by the peptidases, it is converted into active peptide. Pro-neuropeptides, enzyme comes, break it into an active peptide. For example, I can give you some pepsinogen. It is acted by one compound and then pepsinogen is converted into pepsin. So pro-enzyme converted into active enzyme. Okay, here what about the neuropeptide? We'll come to the comparison of the neurotransmitter. They are produced large precursor molecule, and then after the secretion. Now, here I am giving you another concept. Once these peptides they are released. Once the peptides are released, what will be the outcome? There can be technically three outcomes. There can be technically, for us as a Muslim, when we come to this life, tamam, what is our outcome? Baden, we have two outcomes. We have two outcomes, isn't it? In Hindu mythology, they have two outcomes are there. Two outcomes is everywhere. If you see any religion, the two outcomes are everywhere, isn't it? So we'll go to hell or we'll go to heaven, isn't it? In Hindu mythology, there is third outcome. What is that, They say you can come back. Yes?
Resurrection?
Huh?
Resurrection?
Now this is the resurrection. Resurrection is this one. This is our concept. Resurrection is our concept that one day all the people they will come. There is a book, a physicist wrote a good book of resurrection, and he said by the scientific point of view that a time will come when all the elements, all the atoms, they will be together. Every person, elements, for example, wherever these are, they will come together with the magnetic force and then join together, and then the person will form again. That is their concept, which is the doomsday. The Hindu mythology has another concept. They say, yes, okay, heaven is there, hell is there, but there is third concept. The third concept is that this gentleman can come back in this world. But now it will come back in this world in a different form. You understand? Then he might come in the form of animal, in the form of bird, maybe dog, maybe cat, maybe camel, maybe elephant, maybe monkey. You got my point? Why I am sharing this story to you, with you guys, that there are three outcomes here. Point number one, this neuropeptide will be released, attached to the receptor, will perform its function. Whatever the function is, stimulant function, inhibitory function, opening channel, closing channel, it will perform its function. This is number one. Tamam? Number two is that there are enzymes. Here are enzymes. Degradative enzymes are there. These enzymes will break this neuropeptide. These enzymes will break the neuropeptide. For example, you know acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter. Acetylcholinesterase will break it. Acetylcholine will be broken down. Come on? It will be broken down. But there is a third concept. What is that concept? That many of the time they will come back reuptake. Reuptake. So there are three outcomes of any substance which comes to the synaptic cleft. Either perform its function, or killed by the enzymes, or reuptake. Clear? Is this clear?
Yes.
Here, see here. After secretion, they do not recycle. They cannot come back to them. So they have two mechanisms. One mechanism is that they perform their function. Another is that they are broken down by some enzymes. Peptidase enzymes, some enzymes. Clear? In neurotransmitter, the classical neurotransmitter, which is generated from now, what is the, and here what is the function, what is the difference? They generate in the soma, in the cell body, and then they are transported into the Golgi. Here in the vesicles, in the neurotransmitters, classical neurotransmitters, they are generated in the nerve terminals. Then they are released. They perform their function. They are broken down by the enzyme. And what is the third component? So this is the technical difference between a classical neuropeptide and a neurotransmitter. Tamam? Here, for example, acetylcholine perform its function, or it is broken down, acetate and choline, or it is reuptake. So similarly here, now another important point, degradation of the peptide does not always eliminate the bioactivity. It has some bioactivity, some fragments are there, and these have different activities than actual peptide. For example, one big peptide is there. It has 100 amino acids. Enzyme broken down it, converted into 80 amino acids. Even then it will be having some function. If it is broken down into 40 amino acids, even then it will be having some function. Not as an actual one, but some function will be there. The peptides, they are situated in a preform and genetically. Each peptide precursor encodes genetic codes, POMC, pro-opiomelanocortin. Then anterior lobe of the pituitary, it gives, you can have three other things. You have an N-terminal removed, adrenocorticotropic hormone, and then beta-lipotropins. So it comes with the pre-forms genetically. Then adrenocorticotropic hormone is broken down again into intermediate lobe of the pituitary gland, alpha-melanocyte stimulating hormone, gamma-lipotropins, beta endorphins. So one of the genetic code, and we discussed this earlier if you remember in the prep year, that there is an exon shuffling mechanism, and you can have many outcomes. Storage and release, neuropeptide stored in much larger vesicle. then that contain from small granules of the neurotransmitters. Peptide released by the calcium-dependent exocytosis. A small molecule neurotransmitter produce brief and local effect as a synaptic connection, whereas the neuropeptide, they are large, produce slow, long-lasting effect at comparison to the and in the larger area. In a larger area, they are large, they are small. 100 nanometer to 50 nanometers. Short action, long action. A small area for a long area. They release for a longer time of the action. So these are the classical differences between the neuropeptide and the neurotransmitters. Classical neurotransmitter reuptake mechanism is there. Neuropeptide no reuptake mechanism. Degradation after the release. Rapidly replaced synthesis occurs in nerve terminals, must be synthesized in the cell body, transported to the terminals. Stored in the small synaptic vesicles, stored in the large dense vesicles. So technical difference between the neuropeptide and the neurotransmitters. Neuropeptide receptors, very important types of the receptors are there. These receptors are transmembrane receptors. Transmembrane receptors. And you can see here, which type of receptor they are. Which type of receptor they are? They are called transmembrane receptors. And there is one important point. How many loops are there? 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then this one 5, then this one 6, and then this one 7. 7 loops are there. That's why it is like, which shape is this? Which animal is usually like this? Huh? Snake. Serpentine, the cobra. That's why it's called serpentine receptors. Which receptor? Serpentine receptors. Transmembrane receptor. And they make 7 loops. So, they are not neuropeptide receptor produce their effect after in the level of intramuscular second messenger. These receptors are 7 transmembrane spanning proteins and they are linked to the G proteins. They are altered to alter the activation of the G proteins. Neuropeptide receptor have high affinity binding for at a nanomolar level, and this have high affinity of slow the dissociation. Strong connection. So when there is strong connection, affinity, you know what is affinity? We discussed this inside. Love towards the molecule. They have high affinity, they have strong connection. Strong connection, less release. Less release, strong action. Yeah? So these are the types of the receptor, transmembrane receptors, and then they activate the G protein. The G protein is activated, and then this G protein is activated. It activates the second messenger, and then the system goes on. What are the major functions of the neuropeptides? Neuroendocrine regulations, regulate the neurovegetative function, development function, immunomodulation function, blood pressure regulation, enzyme secretion, and then neurological function, for example, pain and hunger. What are the different types of the neuropeptides? We have peptides, gut-brain peptides, hypothalamic peptides, pituitary hormones, and some of the miscellaneous, angiotensin II, for example. If we divide them into some groups, these are the groups, brain and heart. We have BNP, brain deteriorated peptide, anti-pro-BNP, brain and GIT, substance P, substance K, tachykinins, neurosterins, cholecystokinin, gastrin, these are the brain and GIT, neuronal, galanin, neuromoduline, hypothalamic releasing factor, corticotropic hormone, growth hormone releasing hormone, gonadotropin releasing hormone, thyrotropic releasing hormone. These all are the peptides. These all are the peptides. This is a very important question. You should memorize it. Pituitary, and once you review it, it will come in your brain automatically. Pituitary hormone, hypothalamus 5. Pituitary gland, anterior pituitary, posterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary 3, posterior pituitary like this. Pituitary hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, growth hormone, prolactin, luteinizing hormone, thyrotropic hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone. Posterior pituitary, neurohypophyseals, oxytocin and vasopressin. So these are some of these are very important, and you will know it by when you read it. When you read the physiology, when you read the biochemistry, when you open the book, you will understand these very easily. Neuronal, some strange one, nobody can remember them, but the common one, everybody remembers them. For example, growth hormone, everybody remembers. Thyroid hormone, everybody remembers them. Oxytocin, everybody remembers. Luteinizing hormone, everybody remembers. FSH, everybody remembers. Neuronal and endocrine, antidiuretic hormone, atrial nitrotic peptide, vasoactive, intestinal peptide, VIP. Opioids, enkephalins, dynorphins, endorphins. They are opioids, opium derivatives. Now we will see some of them, not all of them. We will discuss some of them, not all of them. This is the list. Nobody needs to necessarily remember all of them, but many of them will be remembered when you read it. So the first one is BNP. It's a cardiac natriuretic peptide. Cardiac coming from the heart, natri from the sodium, uretic from the kidneys, peptide is peptide. So it is the peptide which regulates the water removal, sodium and water removal from the body. Now, it is a 32 amino acid polypeptide, and it belongs structurally to this natriuretic peptide. Natriuretic peptide also we call them like it occurs in the night, so you have urination. Three types are there: ANP, atrial natriuretic peptide; BNP, brain and natriuretic peptide; and CNP, C type of the natriuretic peptide. ANP, BNP and CNP. They are secreted by the myocytes, cardiac muscle cells, particularly left ventricle. When the left ventricle is failed, when the heart is failed, blood accumulates, fluid accumulates in the left ventricle because it's failed. So it is stretched. When it is stretched, it put pressure on the myocytes. When it put pressure on the myocyte, this BNP comes out. When the BNP comes out, so when there is a stretch, when there is more fluid, the fluid will go to the lungs. It will develop pulmonary edema, problem in the breathing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this BNP. What this BNP will do, it removes the fluid through the kidney in the urine. So the pressure will be decreased. The lungs will be clear. And the people will breathe normal. Clear? So similarly, ANP, atrial natriuretic peptide, it has a longer half-life, and then they are, and why the name is BNP, brain natriuretic peptide, because earlier the scientists have found this peptide in the brain because they are present everywhere. But later on the studies found that okay, this peptide is not coming from the brain, but rather it's coming from the heart. Clear? But because the name was there, so they say okay, keep it as it is, as a BNP, brain natriuretic peptide. Anti-pro-BNP is an N-terminal. See, this is like we have two terminals here. This C-terminal, this is N-terminal. So this is N-terminal pro-BNP. This is pro-BNP, 134 amino acids. Then half of 26 amino acids removed, 108 amino acids pro-BNP. And then this pro-BNP is broken down into two. One is BNP, which has 77 to 108 amino acids, like about 30 amino acids. And here is the N-terminal pro-BNP, which is 1 to 76, like 76 amino acids. Now, what is the function? BNP and anti-pro-BNP. The function, as I have told you. Okay. Earlier, now one thing is very clear. It comes in the blood when there is a pressure on the
vessels.
Increased pressure in the ventricle. When there is a pressure on the myocytes. When there is a pressure on the myocytes. When there will be pressure on the myocyte? When the heart is not functioning properly. When the heart is failing. When there is a failing heart. So now this, it is very clear, when you see something that it comes when there will be a failing of the heart, so it is a diagnostic tool. It is a diagnostic tool. And when the heart is failed, what will happen? The fluid will accumulate in the lungs, definitely. Because lungs are connected. When the fluid is accumulated in the lungs, what is the function of the lungs? Breathing, exchange, gases exchange. When there is no gas exchange and there is fluid is there, what will happen? You will be difficulty in breathing. Difficulty in breathing is occur because of the heart problem, or it also occur because of the lungs problem. For example, asthma. For example, asthma. In old days, when the people, the heart failure was totally, diagnosis of the failure, diagnosis of the shortness of breath was totally on the doctor. There was no test technically. The doctor see and say, oh, this is asthma. The doctor see and see, this is heart failure. Then this test came. Now it's very easy. If two patients are coming and they are having a problem in the respiration, come on, it can be heart failure, it can be lungs problem. Simple test. Do this test. If the test level is high, it is heart failure. If the test level is normal, it is coming from the lungs. Very simple. So this is the function. So it's useful in the diagnosis. Can be used to grade the heart failure or level or heart failure. And it can help you in the prognosis. If you give them the treatment, level improves, you say the treatment is good. Where it is, test is ordered in the emergency department. So BNP, pro-BNP assay is required for fully automatic, and their machines are there and you can do it very quickly, immediately. Not big deal nowadays. Now, three types, ANP, BNP and CNP. ANP is coming from the atria, BNP is coming from the ventricle, and CNP is coming from the endothelium. And both have these effects. Natriuresis, decrease diuresis, increase urine, decrease blood pressure, decrease renin. Nitriuresis, diuresis, decrease blood pressure, decrease renin. And this one is, CNP is potent vasodilator, because vasodilatation. So again, all these affect, decrease the blood pressure. When we decrease the blood pressure, there will be decreased venous return, there will be decreased load on the heart, and there is a decreased load on the heart, there will be decreased fluid in the lungs, and the patient will improve. The patient will. Opioids, opium. They are morphine-like things, and they have effect on the human behaviors. They are very much important in painkiller, induce euphoria, excitements, reduce coughing. In the villages, people take it as antitussive, induce sleep, and then causes vomiting if too much is taken, and then useful constipation, useful in limiting diarrhea. Though they have diarrhea, it is one of the treatment for the as an antidiarrheal as well. They are the drug class of opioids, endogenous peptides, and opioid produced during the stressful situation. Opioid receptor activation can be reversed by naloxone. So these are the pro-opium-melanocortin, then same pro-enkephalin, and then pro-dynorphin. Opioids they have three receptors, mu, delta, and kappa receptors, and they have different functions. Mu sensitive to morphine, delta binds to enkephalins, and kappa against some of the induced hallucination, happiness. You feel, morphine, no? Morphine, no, or don't know? Morphine? They use it as a drug as well. Now, these are the three receptors: mu receptor, delta receptor, kappa receptor, and then they have. This is the basic three major function of these receptors: analgesia, role of affections, motor integration and cognition, and feeling of water balance, feeding and water balance. And these are the detailed function of these. Now, again they are function with the same G protein, link receptors, three receptors, mu, kappa, delta with the G proteins. So here, first messenger, receptor, G proteins, effector proteins, second messenger, protein kinase activation, and then function. The clinical effect, particularly mood elevation and pain control analgesics. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this internally in the body, in the human body. For example, we as a bench worker, we are very sensitive. We are very sensitive. If we hit our hand with the hammer, we will cry. But those they are working in villages, they are hard workers. Come on? Those, for example, the job, they are hard worker. Even they hit their hand, they don't bother. They continue to work. The same pain for us is we cannot tolerate that pain. Good. Why? It is because of these opiates. And they come with the exercise. Yes, you should be. They come with the exercise. If it comes with the mechanism where you can modify your body. If you modify soldiers, they are well trained. The pain level of these soldiers are high as compared to us. Remember? Why? Because they are trained with that. They are trained with it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created these opiates inside the body. We have to wear and tear, but it is controlled. So eating disorder, intensive exercise and stress correlate with the increased endogenous opioids, elevated prolactins level, also increased opiate level in the hypothalamus. Another one is third one is the vasoactive intestinal peptide. Again, is 28 amino acid. It comes from the gut, pancreas, suprachiasmatic nuclei, and hypothalamus in the brain. And it helps in the digestive system as VIP induce the smooth muscle relaxation. It stimulates secretion of the water into pancreatic juice, cause inhibition of the gastric acid secretion. So as soon as it goes to the intestine, this VIP comes, stop the gastric secretions, release the smooth pancreatic secretion, and it helps in the digestion. VIP involved in synchronizing the timing of suprachiasmatic nuclei function with the environmental light and dark cycle. So eating in the night. For example, we don't eat in the night when you are sleeping. Why you don't eat in the night when you are sleeping? I don't know why these guys are so much resistant. They are light and dark cycle. And they are very crucial with the circadian mechanism of the hormones. They are very helpful in the prolactin secretions, and it has a significant effect on the cardiovascular system as well. Cause coronary vasodilatation. Coronary vasodilatation. And see, this is very much well related. Very much well related. For example, when you eat too much, when you eat, stomach is distended. What is the second mechanism? Grinding starts. It starts working. Blood is required. Blood is required or lamaki required? Blood is required. Who will provide the blood? Heart will provide the blood. Heart will pump more. Heart will pump more. This is why you feel tachycardia, isn't it? Heart will pump more. It will start functioning. If you know what are the best, why heart, what are the situation where heart attack occur? High level of high chances of the heart attack when you are running. Old age, exercise, too much exercise. After heavy meal, the pain starts, heart attack comes. Here, see, this will cause coronary vasodilatation. So it provides good blood to the heart. Good blood to the heart pump more, but heart pumps more, GI function is good. So they are very correlated. This help in the mechanism of the digestion. And on the other hand, it acts on the heart as well. Clear? Neuropeptide Y is a 36 amino acid produced in the arcuate nucleus of the hypothalamus, rich in tyrosine residues, appetite stimulating hypothalamic peptide. This is the 36 amino acid. And again, neuropeptide Y is associated with the physiological, psychological process in the brain, including regulation of energy balance, memory, learning, and epilepsy, sometimes in diseases. The main effect is increased food intake and decreased physical activity. So those people, they have more of this, they eat more, less physical activity, so they become obese. So neuropeptide Y, hypothalamic neuropeptide Y, increase food intake, increase insulin secretion, increase fat mass. And in addition to increased food intake, it increases the proportion of energy stored as a fat and blocks the pain receptor and signal to the brain. Again, this is very logical. When those people, they are very fatty, pain receptors are blocked, and you would see many ulcers here and there because they don't feel pain. All of the overweight people. Negative energy balance, as seen as anorexia and bulimia nervosa, is associated with increased neuropeptide Y levels. Negative energy balance, more stored, less output. So, main factor that involved in the regulation of the food intake is stimulators, neuropeptide Y, corticosteroids, opioids, peptide YY, pancreatic polypeptide, inhibitors, serotonin. So these are very important. Serotonin, neuropeptide Y, leptin, very much important. Decreased leptin will increase the obesity. Insulin, what you got? CRF, cholecystokinin, bombicin, catecholamines, and somatostatin. Some of these, they are very important. Particularly the leptin, serotonin, opioids, noradrenaline, neuropeptide Y. Nowadays, it is said that obesity is related to this one. That is this one which controls the eating behavior, the leptin. This inhibits the food intake. If this level is decreased, no inhibition of the food intake. By no inhibition of the food intake, the people will take too much. So leptin is 146 amino acid residue, polypeptide protein included with the OBG, expressed and secreted by adipocyte, fat cells, placenta, and gastric epithelium, directly proportional to the amount of the fat in the body. Directly proportional to the amount of the fat. The more fat, directly proportional. More fat, more leptin. More fat, more leptin. Plasma circadian rhythm. In the peak acrophase, like in the night, it is peak during the night time and lowest in the afternoon. Appetite inhibition affect the growth hormone releasing hormone and gonadotropin releasing hormone. That's why in the night you don't eat. But once you woke up or in the evening, you are very hungry. When you go home, Allah will eat everything. So leptin decreases the food intake and increases the metabolic rate, primarily inhibited by the neuropeptide Y. This is very important. Primarily inhibited by the neuropeptide Y. And neuropeptide Y, what is the function of the neuropeptide Y? It stimulates. It stimulates. Remember this one. Remember this picture. It stimulates. Tamam? So when this control is, it actually inhibits this one, neuropeptide Y. So leptin inhibit neuropeptide Y. When it inhibits neuropeptide Y, the food intake is less. Food intake is less. So when there is no leptin, no inhibition of the neuropeptide Y, and the food intake will be. So less hypothalamic neuropeptide Y, increased leptin, fat mass, food intake. Like this. Decrease hypothalamic neuropeptide Y, decrease food intake, insulin secretion. Decrease fat mass. When decrease fat mass, it will be increased. When it will increase, it will inhibit this one. So on, continuous activity. So this is the leptin regulation. Leptin decrease food intake, increase energy, increase of the energy expenditure, stimulating activation, and then weight loss. So if you want to treat the obese patient, nowadays they said that do this research on the leptin. And this can be one of your research project as well. See the obese people and see their leptin level. That an obese patient has how much the leptin level. They are increased or they are decreased. And ask them their habit, why they are become obese. whether it's because of the food intake or whether they have some genetic things. It will help you it will be very clear. Cholecystokinin coming from the small intestine stimulate dietary fats, amino acids and small peptides, inhibition of the food intake by activation of the CCK. When food enter into the stomach, cholecystokinin comes and stop the food intake and block the pylorus, so the food will not come into the intestine wall. Substance P is the first neurotransmitter that was discovered, 11 amino acid neuropeptides and widely distributed in the CNS and peripheral nervous system. And the function is many functions of this one, but more important one is the sensory neurotransmitter for pain and other signals, and neurohormone for the smooth muscle contraction in the gut and vessels. And these are some sensory functions, CNS function. For example, learning and memory, regulation of the behavior, and central regulation of the blood pressure because of the vasodilatation. And then some of the stimulant of the amino neurotransmitter like dopamine. So, in summary, we say that neuropeptide, these are the nerve proteins. Peptide consists of 2 or more amino acids. They are linked together by the peptide bonds. Peptides synthesized in the soma, transported to the axon terminals. Their function have different functions, neuroendocrine functions, regulate the immunomodulation, blood pressure modulation, water and sodium retention, pain modulation, pain regulation, appetite control. These are all our functions. Hunger and eating process is controlled by this. Pain opioids such as morphine exert potent effects on the human behavior. VIB increase the motility. NPY appetite stimulate hypothalamic peptide. CCKBZ inhibition of the gastric emptying. Substance P many function both central and peripheral nervous systems. Leptin controlling the appetite through NPY. Clear, guys?
Yes.
So these are the peptides. If you have any question, you can discuss it. Research is moving around the peptides. That's why we say do more exercise to stimulate your body, so your peptide level will be regulated. Most commonly the opiate peptides, and then weakness. You know, those people, they are continuously exercising, they are very well alert, fit. Why they are all these things? Because you can see all these peptides, they are helping them. Their diet habit is good. Their pain sensation is good. Their mood is good. So all these things are related to these chemicals. And these you can modify, you can regulate your chemicals very easily.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please. Now, what you have to do is, take home message is, you have to focus on the summary, see the basic function of the peptides, and see the 4 or 5 peptides which we discussed, major 4 or 5 peptides which we discussed. Substance P, opioid, leptin, V and P. These are the major peptides. Yes?
Yes, more lipids will increase the leptin, and more leptin will decrease the food intake because it decreases the neuropeptide. Why? So why obese people has
directly proportional. More fat, more leptin.
More leptin, no appetite for food intake. So why obese people will eat more? Will have appetite to eat more? Obese people will have more appetite to eat.
That's
more.
why they have a problem of that. Sometimes the system is totally deranged.
Function of leptin will be decreased.
Sometimes the system is totally deranged. They are not regulated properly. Because you guys are involved in some of the researches. So if any group wanted this, take this, see the obese people, and very easy you can find thousands here. Here and there in the class you will find. Check their BMI. What is the BMI? The BMI is above 30. Very simple. And if you have mechanism of checking their leptin, it will be very good. Tamam?
Thank you.
Thank you.